The fact that we've got people that have been in Congress for over 40 years is a slap in the face to the American taxpayer. Lobbying is what's stealing our country from us. The backdoor deals that we all hear about, they happen with lobbyists.
I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
You have a big announcement that you're making today, right?
I officially launched today where I am running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District of North Carolina. I am hoping to unseat Richard Hudson, who is a swamp monster from Washington, D.C., who very rarely comes down to this area. He was on Kellyanne Conway's staff before he became a member of Congress, which says that he has no integrity and doesn't have any issues with people that have no integrity. And I'm going to do everything in my power to unseat him. I'm already starting to attend meetings and try to get my finger on the pulse of what's important to North Carolinians. I absolutely love living down here. I lived down here for almost 20 straight years, owned homes down here. My kids went to school here. So this was the best place that we could have possibly moved after leaving West Virginia. And we love it down here. Like I said, I spent 16 of my 24 years at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So, I'm about 35 minutes off of the back gate of Fort Bragg, but absolutely love it down here. Love the people. It's just a great place. And I look forward to hopefully flipping this seat and representing these amazing people.
What do you hope to accomplish while when you get elected?
Number one of the biggest things that I would like to do on the national level is I would like to push to bring back the fairness doctrine. There is no reason on the face of the earth that we should be allowing the news media to spew the lies that they do. And look, obviously Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, they've been spewing that garbage. But guess what? All the daggone news media are found to have been doing things like that. CBS, NBC, none of them are perfect. But the thing about it is that we need to bring back the fairness doctrine that says we require honor and integrity, honesty in our news media. And I would like to say that, if you are news media and you get caught lying to people because you didn't check your sources or you just flat out spewing garbage, I think that you should pay a severe fine. If it happens again, you should be put on taken off the air for two months. And if you do it a third time, you lose your license, period. We have got to require honesty in our news media because by not having it, we are where we are right now. I mean, honestly, between the attack on education and between the poisoning of the minds of people from the news media, that's why we have so many people that are so gullible in this country. And they fall for these lies. And that's all they are, is lies. So, I think that's something that is important. There's a few other things that I would really like to do, but I'd like to sit down with teachers, school service personnel, and also corrections. I would like to figure out if there was a way we could come up with a nationalized pay scale for teachers and school service personnel. And what I mean by this is that a person that lives in Fort Drum, New York, a private, he makes the exact same base pay as a private in Fort Stewart, Washington. The only difference is the private in Fort Drum, New York will get basically a higher cost of living allowance because it's more expensive to live in New York than it is to live in Seattle. So that's the only difference. So imagine if every single teacher that become a teacher, you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. That's how it starts off. A bachelor's degree will be able to make a teacher this much money. But if they have a master's degree, they automatically make this much money. Okay? And that's their salary, whatever it is, for the first 5 years. Every 5 years of teaching, you get a pay raise to another level. And it goes like that all the way through. If you got 25 years, you're making good money. The thing about it, especially with North Carolina is 49th in the country in terms of how much money they put towards each student. So Mississippi is the only one worse than North Carolina. North Carolina is 9th in terms of population growth, but yet we pay our teachers 44th in pay. So there are some serious issues when North Carolina is a state that is growing rapidly, but yet we still pay our teachers 44th. They should be in the top 10%. So that's some of the things that I think I would like to do. And the same thing goes with correctional officers. But I'm sorry, let me go back to teachers. What would happen if we had a nationalized teacher pay scale is most people that go and learn to become a teacher, what they really want to do is they want to go back to their hometown. They want to live where they grew up. They want to teach the kids that belong to the people that they went to school with. I mean, it's why not go back to a place where you're known, you're respected. That's great. But the problem is if you live on the border counties of these states that pay their teachers the worst, then if that teacher that is in Mingo County, West Virginia, jumps across the border to Kentucky and takes a job teaching, it's like she just got an $8,000 raise. So it's pretty significant. So people that live on the borders, they're jumping over to Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and this is just West Virginia. This is the same thing across all states. But those good teachers jump over the state line to make more money. And what happens is the border counties, now they have to find people to fill those roles. And I'm going to tell you, when you go to these border counties, you're going to find a lot of daggone assistant wrestling, basketball, and football coaches teaching English, science, and math. And that is not good. And that does not prepare our children for the future. So that's a reason why that needs to happen. Now, in terms of corrections, I am a huge advocate for corrections. When I was a senator in West Virginia, every day of the legislative session was a theme. So one day would be teachers, one day would be correctional officers. And what happens is they bring these correctional officers, they walk into the back of the Senate chambers, and then they read a resolution saying that today is a day that we recognize correctional officers. And then they tell a couple stories. And they were telling stories about a couple of correctional officers that were there that were beaten severely. And I'm talking about traumatic brain injury, PTSD for the rest of their life. I mean, I'm talking locks in socks. I mean, brutal beatings. And I thought to myself, wow, man, these people live a pretty rough life. So then I started going around and visiting correctional facilities. And I started seeing how rough life is for correctional officers. I mean, boxes of shanks that they have confiscated from people that will kill people with one shot, So I started thinking, how much do these people get paid? And then I looked into it, and it was absolutely unacceptable. And, if West Virginia Corrections is not paid good, I'm sure that it's not that way. I'm sure that it's that way probably for every corrections across the country. I'm sure there may be some anomalies out there that pay their corrections better. But, I mean, I will tell you that for the most part, corrections is one of those things where they push it out of sight, out of mind. Most correctional facilities are out of sight, out of mind, so you don't see them. So it doesn't really become a thing when it comes to the people. But the people that work there deserve so much more. So once again, I would like to figure out if there's a way to do a national pay scale where we can pay these correctional officers what they need. Because let me tell you something. If you pay correctional officers what they need, you will not have correctional officers risking their jobs so they can bring in smokes for prisoners because they don't make enough to make it, from month to month. And I know that's illegal when they do that. When they get caught, they're in trouble. But when they get caught, they're in trouble. You tend to think, could it be because they didn't, have a good salary? And the answer is yes. So I would like to do something for corrections. Now this is something that's kind of wild, but once again, I can push what I want to push. And I can go on the floor and I can say what I want to say, and the people can hear my speeches and they can get behind me. That's exactly what happened in West Virginia when I pushed for medical cannabis. Even the Democrats said, you don't want to mess with that. Nobody's going to support it. But by the end of the 60-day session, my bill became law because I got the people behind me, and the Republicans and the Democrats knew that the people want this, so we better follow through. So as long as I get to the House floor and I say what I want to say, and the people get behind me, it will convince people to do the right thing. And we're never, ever going to get politicians to turn in term limits. But what we can do is we can create a military pay style environment when it comes to retirement. And what that says is you do 20 years and out. 20 years, you will retire at 50% your base pay as a member of the Senate or as a member of the House. Now, 20 years, most people will not do 20 years. You know, it's actually rare for somebody to do 20 years in Congress. So, you know, that's 10 House runs. You know, that's just a little over 3 Senate runs. But the key thing is that, you know, this is, I think, something that we could get the people behind. Because once again, we have right now, there's at least 11 Republicans and there's quite a few Democrats as well that were actually in Congress to impeach President Clinton. But they're still there today. Now, make no mistake about it, the Republicans obviously have completely said it's not a big deal anymore, you know, because of Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels and all that. But the fact that we've got people that have been in Congress for over 40 years is a slap in the face to the American taxpayer. Because let me tell you something. The whole concept was that a person from this area would get selected by the people in that area to go to Washington, D.C. to represent the people of that area and speak for the people of that area. Now, how close are those people to the places where they ran and won? How close are they connected today than they were 45 years ago when they first won? Because I'm going to tell you right now, all of them are worth multi-millions of dollars. We're talking 20 million, 40 million and more. So, you know, these people are rich. And I guarantee you, they don't think about the poor person, the brand new school teacher, the correctional officer, the people that are working those hard union jobs out there that are fighting every day to keep their benefits. They have no concept of what life is like for those people. And that's why it's important for us to turn this thing around. And a 20-year and out retirement for Congress, I think, would work. Because I think a lot of people would think, there's no way I'm going to do 20 years. No way. I mean, I may win one more term, maybe 2. But I mean, and then of course, do I really want to spend 20 years here? The only reason why they want to stay 20 plus years is because they're enjoying all that insider trading and stuff. You know, we need to get rid of that capability. I don't think that people should be allowed to play the stock market. I don't think that politicians should be allowed to become lobbyists. I mean, that's just me. And I think that I can get a lot of people behind those stance. I've said it before. I've said I want to make lobbyists wear body cameras. You know, if we could look and watch the conversations that our members of Congress have with lobbyists, then those members of Congress would be far less likely to sell us down the river if we were watching. And that's the reason. And I know people say, well, you really can't make a lobbyist. You know, what happens if they run into them at a restaurant someplace? Here's the thing. If a lobbyist is caught speaking to a member of Congress, I don't care if it's in aisle 5 of Walmart, if their body camera is not on, they will lose their license to be a lobbyist. Why not? I mean, honestly, lobbying is what's stealing our country from us. The backdoor deals that we all hear about, they happen with lobbyists. Those are the ones that have those backdoor deals with our members of Congress. Those are the people that bribe our members of Congress with, hey, you want to go to Atlantic City for a couple days? We'll give you some money to gamble on. We'll give your family a good time. And all you have to do is, when you leave, we'll hand you a bill that you take back to Washington, D.C., and you run as your own bill. So we can stop that kind of garbage, and I think it needs to happen. Let me see here. Introduce a bill that will call for more funding for North Carolina teachers and school service. Absolutely. I'm, running in North Carolina, and I absolutely think that 44th in the nation for teachers' pay is unacceptable, and 49th in the country for how much money we spend per child is unacceptable. North Carolina has got a lot going for it. We've got the mountains, we've got the beaches. This state is actually doing quite well, and it should show by how we take care of our teachers in school and kids. Fight for more funding for corrections, obviously. Fight for infrastructure money to be turned back on. North Carolina is one of those places where I personally think that the roads here, according to me, coming from West Virginia, where the roads were 50th, I mean, I look at the roads here and I say to myself, good Lord, these people are great. The state road workers in North Carolina are the best in the business. I mean, I've been here now for 3 years. I found one pothole. So, you know, I mean, I'm telling you, I have to give corrections in North Carolina a big plus, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't, you know, continue with the infrastructure to make sure that we keep these roads as good as in the best shape as possible, but also to get to those, you know, areas that may not have the best roads because maybe they're, you know, in the middle of the forests and you know, in rural areas. They deserve to have good roads too. So those are just some of the things that I'm, you know, wanting to talk about and push as for starters. But you know, I've got stances on everything.
Do you have anything you want to plug real fast before you head out?
Obviously, Ojeda Live every night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Also, the turnleftpack.org. Follow that. And I will send you my donation link if you don't mind. And anybody that hears this, if you would like to support my campaign to flip a red seat blue in North Carolina, I would really appreciate it. And you know what? Even if it's just $5 will buy me a yard sign that somebody can put in their yard. And that may convince their neighbors to ask, who is that guy? And that may convince them to eventually vote for me. So no matter what the amount is, it absolutely makes a difference. So I'll send you the link, Drew. And as always, brother, I appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll put all that in the bio. Thanks again.
All right, brother, out here.
I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.